Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam!
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
What's up, film fans? Happy Wednesday. Welcome to episode 271. Welcome of the Cine-Men movie podcast. I'm your host, Juan, and I am joined by Zach.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Everyone doing good out there?
Good. Also, we are joined by Zach. You want to introduce?
Yeah, we have special guests today. We have director Chuck Marangiolo. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, Chuck. And Carolina Marangiolo. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, guys. How's everybody doing out there in movie land?
We're doing good. So our two guests here are here to promote their new film, The American Ripper. Just to give a little brief synopsis, as soon as Bobby and Lola, newly married couple, move into a new house, Bobby transitions into a delusional maniac murderer who turns into a disturbing psychopath. Torturing Lola and killing anyone comes his way. So family fun all around, as the synopsis says. First off, Bobby, Chuck. What drives you as a director, or start off, what drives you as a director overall?
What drives me as the director?
Or just what drives you as a director? Like what makes you want to direct, or what gives you influences or anything like that?
You know, we have a lot of different aspects on that question. You know, me and Carolina are both directors and producers and actors. We're both musicians, and we like entertaining people. You know, we like to put our vision out there and entertain our fans and our friends and other people. So
Yeah.
Directing wise, it's a lot of fun. You know, it has all great aspects of entertaining, and gives me a chance my vision to come across what I'm trying to portray, you know?
Yeah. And I saw that you guys both play, actually, Bobby and Lola, as you direct and act. I've always been curious, is that a challenge to like kind of balance between director and actor, or is it kind of just come natural?
Yes, it's a challenge. Why? Because you have to act in the same time. You have to actually visualize the whole scene, and you have to be behind the camera to try to take the best take. And yes, it was a challenge. The American Ripper, the movie that we are talking about, was entirely made by myself and my husband. We are a husband-wife team. So it was extremely difficult because we didn't have a film crew. Why? Because it was COVID-19, so everything was shut down. We couldn't actually get anybody to work with us at that time. And we said, well, screw it. We're going to do it ourselves. And we just took the camera and filmed the whole movie ourselves within 1 year. So
Nice.
it took us around 1 year to complete everything. And yes, it was challenging. Chuck was trying to direct, and at the same time, he was a main star of the movie. So yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that seems like the narrative right now, because we're in the end of 2023. We had interviewed a director about a year or two ago who, again, he had a horror movie and he directed it on his family's lake house because of COVID-19 was just taking everybody out. So talk to us about the difficulties of filming, like, you know, during COVID-19, during the pandemic. You just got done kind of telling us how it was. What about filming on location during the pandemic? Like, where was this location for you guys? Was it hard to find? Was it maybe even in your own backyard, or, you know, how did that happen?
Well, that's a good question. So again, being locked down and having our food delivered to us, you know, we were really afraid to get sick. You know, we were wearing our mask everywhere we went, but we really didn't even go out that much. So we figured, hey, you know what? Let's make a film in our area, you know, in our house. So we basically we live on a beautiful lake. So we filmed our film in basically our mansion, you know,
Nice.
and
Yeah.
we had a great time filming it. And And then we had I don't know how many, 15, 16 actors, right, in the film.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of actors, and we had to make sure that they had their shots done, and they were not COVIDized. And we were very careful about that. We worked with these actors for a while. They would come over, we would shoot a certain scene, we'd come back and we say, okay, we can use that, or we'd have to reshoot it. We wanted to make it perfect. So it was a little bit cumbersome. There was some difficulties in making the film because we're used to having a large crew.
Right.
So here we had to do everything ourselves, from lighting to shooting all the scenes, the close-ups, the backup shots, middle shots, stick shots, non-stick shots. I mean, it looks like we have a film crew of 50 people. And plus, we did all the music scores. So
Wow.
Wow.
I'm a professional guitarist. I'm a lead guitar player. I used to play with Marty Ballin from the Jefferson Airplane, Jefferson Starship. I was his lead guitar player for 10 years.
Wow.
And so I said, hey, we'll use different sound effects that we make, and we'll use Tonewood Amp, which I represent, and they kind of sponsor them, and they sponsor me. I put a lot of these different cool sounds in the film, which made it just very, very cool. We had a great time making the film.
Yeah. It looks like a good film. Obviously this is a thriller, a crime thriller. Was this based off, any real cases, or is it just all completely made up?
So it's basically completely made up story, which Chuck wrote, and he one day had his great vision that he wants to make a movie about a killer or about a psychopath, because he's really inspired by many horror movies that he watched when he was younger. He likes The Shining, Jack Nicholson, and I like them too. So he always wanted to play a role of a maniac or a psychopath. So he wrote the whole screenplay based on that, killer behavior. And, when you watch the movie, you will see that Bobby, which is a main actor, the main character, he transitions to Henry, which is the psychopath. So the whole movie is just written around that character, Bobby and Henry.
And Lola and Maria.
Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned The Shining as definitely a big influence. Would you say Kubrick as a director you look up to and get inspired by?
Well, I love Stanley Kubrick. I like Oliver Stone. I like all the great directors out there. Any of these great directors. Kubrick is one of my favorite. I like some of the old black and white, Houston and all these, even Martin Scorsese, all these filmmakers today. So watching The Shining and watching Anthony Perkins in Psycho, which was another favorite of mine. I said, hey, I think I can do that. I can play that part of a maniac. But I had to get myself into character. So I had to figure out how to play this part after I wrote the screenplay. So I started going back to, serial killers, basically like, Charles Manson and his group there, and Jeffrey Dahmer, and also, what's the other one? Charles Manson, Jeffrey Dahmer, and
probably Ted Bundy.
Huh?
Probably Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy. Yeah, Ted Bundy. So I don't want to tell you too much of it, but I was studying Ted Bundy, a lot of Ted Bundy, studying a lot of Charles Manson. It's just great to watch this psychopath, this maniac. And also, what's his name over there from Wisconsin area?
Oh,
so basically,
Ed Gein.
Yeah, he wanted to get into the role, so I watched him, locking himself up in the office and just trying to watch these films because we didn't really know how to play this role, we didn't know how the psychopath acts. So we only know from watching horror movies and stuff, but you really have to watch the real life psychopaths to understand, how to portray the character. So it was kind of bizarre, but yeah, that was a challenge.
Yeah, but after studying these guys, I mean, these guys were literally crazy. I mean, you watch some of this stuff. I mean, I was going through, hours and hours of footage and interviews of these, especially Manson. What a crazy, crazy person. Jeffrey Dahmer, total
Oh,
sicko. So I was thinking, you know what, I'm going to use some of this in my film.
Right.
So it just worked out really great. The way I wrote the screenplay, and it kind of worked out really nice.
This is kind of an impromptu question, but I didn't know about the Jefferson Starship. But Chuck, let me ask you, how different is it to get up on stage and just have at it on a guitar? I mean, you probably get into some kind of character, getting up there and getting into your guitar, but how different is it from getting up on stage to maybe being behind the camera or in front of the camera, and the two transitions? Is it completely, total opposites, or do they kind of actually favor one another?
That's a good question. I mean, that's an excellent question. Playing on stage since I was 15, and I've always played in, popular groups in Long Island, and playing with Marty. He's a iconic lead singer, rock star. You got to be an actor, either playing and rocking out on your guitar and seeing thousands of people that you're playing in front of. We're just regular people, but to do the acting, they kind of worked hand in hand, so I always kind of like to be on stage and performing my guitar, and then I also like to be in front of the camera, and I also like to be behind the camera as well, and I like to direct, and get those best takes out of my actors. We're looking for that sweet take, that one beautiful take. Marty used to always say, Chuck, I want to grab your brain and take it from your brain, try to get that best solo, when we're in the studio. And that's kind of what I did, and I'd say, I think that's good. He's like, no, you can do it better, So it's kind of the same thing that we're doing behind the cameras when we direct, or if I'm in front of the cameras with myself or Carolina
And actors
and other actors that we've worked with.
So we talked about some of the directors you had maybe looked up to, but I know the year's almost over. But if you had some goals that you both can answer if you have separate goals, but if there were some goals that you maybe would want to accomplish in the next 12 months, maybe from now to the end of 2024, what are some other stuff that you maybe want to, check off your list in the next 12 months?
Yeah, so we have a new project, new movie that is in post right now. So it's probably gonna be coming out 2024 Easter. So we are hoping to finish it by January. We are working for editors right now, and our producers, co-producers and distributors in LA. So we have a lot of work that we are on right now and trying to accomplish this project. Then we have another film that Chuck just finished a screenplay for that, and we're gonna go and shoot it in March. We were going to Harper's Ferry in West Virginia, and we're gonna shoot another big production there. And then we have another movie which is not even touched, not even in post. It's on the shelf. It's all filmed. It's just we didn't have really time to even put our hands on it. But it's all our goals for 2024. Hopefully, we can just push it out, because those movies are just. We're trying to have a business where we're working here, it's not, we're not going to stop in one movie. We can just keep producing,
Keep going.
every couple of months.
We got a film that we filmed in Europe. We filmed it in 10-degree weather, just like our other film, Amityville Mount Misery Road, right next to the Amityville Horror House, because I grew up 5 minutes away from it. It's a whole nother great story. But we filmed this movie in 10-degree weather and freezing cold. We're in these Nazi bunkers in Germany and Poland. There's nobody out there but me and her, and maybe one or two other actors, and it just came out great. The ambiance, the mood, in the wintertime, So we're excited about that film. It's not even in post-production yet.
Right,
so.
this one is not even.
But we have this other film that we've been hammering, that we're trying to get out. It's about a creature. I'm sure everybody's heard of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. That's our good friends over at ITM Films. They're the ones that put out the American Ripper for us in Amityville Mount Misery Road. So
we are doing the movie about the creature right now. It's in post, and there's another creature coming along this year.
We like creatures. We like monsters.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
And you know, you
Cool.
mentioned Blood and Honey, and the American Ripper. It's funny that you did say that because just looking at the trailer and some of the pictures from the American Ripper makes you feel like it's in the same universe almost as Blood and Honey. And it shows you that, you know, it doesn't matter the production value, it doesn't matter how popular it is on its initial release. All it takes is that one just viral shot, and your film can just automatically blow up, especially on today's world of social media, TikToks, and stuff like that. What is your? I didn't send this over to you guys, but the American Ripper as a whole, for the people who are listening and watching, you know, where can you stream or where can this movie, The American Ripper, be found right now if somebody wanted to watch it?
the American Ripper right now can be found on Amazon Prime. You can watch it there. You can watch it on Vudu. It'll be on all platforms because it was just released on October 26th. So as time goes on, it'll be on Vudu. Excuse me, on Tubi. It'll be on international platforms as well. It'll probably be dubbed in German. You know.
But for now, it's just Voodoo and Amazon Prime. The cool thing about this film is that it just presents a story. So it's not really just a slasher or another stupid horror movie that you watch and you fall asleep. There is a story behind it, and there's a twist in the end. So it's kind of, there's a value in that movie that when the viewer is gonna watch it, he's gonna feel something. So we try to, it's like almost like a psychological thriller. Yes, there's a lot of blood. That's why they call it a slasher, because we just over exaggerate with blood, you know, fake blood, obviously. But yeah, there's a meaning behind it, and there's definitely a story in it.
Carolina did all the special effects, and here's one of the effects that are in the film that we put in. So we did all the special effects ourselves, and we
Nice.
did all of our. I
Nice.
don't know if you can see, you guys can see that out there. Carolina, show that one, and then
So, okay, so what we are showing here, this is just a can of peas and carrots. When you're gonna, where is it? When you're gonna watch the film, this is Charlie, peas and carrots, and this little boy is Chuck when he was younger. So
Wow.
we designed all that, and this is very disturbing scenes that this can was used in the movie.
we like Quentin Tarantino too, so that's kind of where we liked him using those cans in his last movie. What was the movie with Hollywood?
Once upon a time
Once
in
Upon in
Hollywood,
Hollywood, he was using the dog cans and making those up.
a wolf tooth,
Wolf tooth.
wolf tooth.
So we do a lot of these little things in our film. This is something that Carolina made.
So this is the shotgun shell box. You can see actually a picture of our dogs there. So we designed it like with our dogs on it. So,
here's another one that we used on.
That's like in one of the scenes, you know, like it's rat poison, you know. But we're not gonna tell you.
We don't
why.
want to tell you too much.
Yeah.
So we want you to watch the film. But you know, Carolina is a professional FX person as well. So we had a lot of fun in the stuff that she was doing. It's pretty amazing what she did.
That's cool. 'Cause the fact that you're able to just make your own tools and crafts and things that you're going to use in the movie, props that you're going to use in the movies it's always been fun and interesting. Chuck, as a director, we didn't send you this question, but I just thought of it off the top of my head. How do you know when you got like the shot, like whether it be working with your wife or different actors, just like, you know, I'm sure you guys did a lot of not ad lib, but just like training and just making sure everyone knew their lines. I know there's a word for that. It's just like slipped my brain. But how do you know, like, when you're filming, like, that's the shot that I want to use for the film?
That's a good question. So you know, you can just Zach, you can just feel it.
Feel it.
You can just know when it's that sweet take. You know, when it just feels good. And especially after we shoot it, we're like, yeah, that's it. You know, or hey, I think you can do better than that. Let's get that. We would probably shoot. Actually, we would shoot sometimes 3 takes, and it would seem to be sometimes the first take. Sometimes would be always the best take.
Right.
And even in music, it seems to be if I'm, you know, laying down a nice guitar line, a lead line, you know, I feel like sometimes the first take is the more organic, the more natural take. where it feels good, and to try to top it or try to keep burning it over and over again, you start to lose the feel of it. So we feel that 1 or 2 takes, and sometimes we would have to do 5 takes. I mean, Stanley Kubrick would do 150 takes
Yes, sometimes
to get his perfect take.
Sometimes
Yeah.
we did like 10, 20 takes with our actors because we knew that they're just not warm up enough. You have to like, it's just not gonna portray it on the camera enough. And I'm an editor, so I basically know how it's gonna look in post. And when I'm seeing the take and I'm seeing that the actor is not ready yet, or I'm just don't feel it. I don't feel it. Okay, like you're not convincing, like convince me that you're really that person. Then they're gonna do it over and over again until I understand. Okay, that person is warm up enough. We can now shoot.
That was the sweet take. That was the martini shot, as they say. So
Yeah. I know David Fincher, he's infamous for doing a bunch of takes over and over again to the point where his actors get pissed off. But
yeah,
I appreciate what you guys said. It's just, until you get it right, or until you feel that scene or that performance works, you might have to go at it a couple times, and that's just part of the movie making business.
You can see people getting more warmed up. I mean, we're really into what we're doing. So sometimes we would say, okay, give us a better take. Do it over and over again, and finally we'd be like, that's the one we're looking for.
Sometimes it's not also good to over exaggerate, like to give too much. Like some people, they're trying so hard, or doing it too much and too much breathing, or voice, too much of sounds. Like we don't need all that. It depends on the scene, but just you have to be natural in your role. Like sometimes it doesn't really require that much drama. You have to calm down a little bit and be more softer. It just really depends what you want to portray. But I tell you something really, what I discovered, and Chuck as well, that anything you're doing in movie industry, when you're acting in front of camera, you have to actually do it double to be able to portray the normal character. What I mean by that, like you have to give it 50% more in front of camera, a little bit more exaggerate, to be able on camera to see the take, like this person is acting this way. You know what I mean? It's just, it takes double. It's the same in theater. When you're in theater, you have to be more over exaggerated for the audience to feel the character. So otherwise, if you're just normal person, then on the camera you're just dull.
It's a little bit dull.
You're not gonna feel it.
I like that. That's a good comparison comparing it to theater. Yeah.
You had mentioned a film that you guys had done earlier, Amityville, Mount Misery Road.
Yeah.
How was the production timing compared to a movie that you're doing smack dab in the middle of pandemic? Like, how long was the production from The American Ripper, and then what about the production length? How long was production for maybe your past movie? Like, was it still a big difference?
Well, the Amityville Mount Misery Road, believe it or not, everybody copied us on that. So once it was just literally this haunted road where I grew up, right around the corner from Amityville Horror House in Long Island, New York, where it's Amityville, the town of Amityville. And also Huntington, Melville is in Long Island. I grew up in Old Bethpage, for all my Bethpage friends out there. But this almost 7 million people knew about this haunted road. It's been cursed for 500 years. The settlers were warned by the Indians not to go in that area. And then a lot of crazy stuff started happening. So I had this great idea one day to say, hey, Caroline, I want to show you this place where I grew up, this road that's famous. So I took her out there again in like 5-degree weather, and we started shooting it right on the location there in Mount Misery Road, right around the corner from the Amityville Horror House. So, but we shot this film, believe it or not, on a cell phone. So the whole film is shot on a cell phone. We didn't have any idea what was going to happen with it. And we submitted it to Los Angeles, to some of our friends out there, and they were literally fighting over the film.
They liked it.
They considered it like a secondary Blair Witch. situation.
So it went viral.
It went viral and blew up. It was sold out in Walmart stores within 1 week.
And we were
It was
very
all over the
surprised.
place. We
We
had,
filmed it on the cell phone.
yeah, we had death threats, people, trying to get us, and it was just crazy,
Yeah.
and it was just this overabundance of whelming people calling us from all over. Man, I love your film. People, I hate your film, but I love your film, but I hate your film. It was back and forth, But we had so much fun because we filmed on a damn cell phone.
And after that, we have like maybe 20 other producers that copied.
They
our
copied
idea.
us, and they started putting out more films on
Right.
Amityville,
Yeah.
and doing rip-offs from Amityville, and we there was a buzz going around in LA saying that Chuck and Carolina Morangello are the ones that started all this, So they started considering it like a Blair Witch Project kind of thing, but it wasn't. We had fun making it with a cell phone. And the movies we're making now are just at a totally different level.
That's a different league right now.
Yeah, it's a different league, different level. So,
the previous movie was really done on the spot, and really, we didn't even expect anything from there. But our new movies are a big production movies.
We wanted to make it more organic.
There's no comparison.
Amityville was more of an organic thing. This new movie, The American Ripper, is more of a different league, and then the other stuff that we're doing right now is a whole different level.
Oh yeah,
that we're doing right now. So
everything works well whenever it's just lifted up organically. And you guys seem like the perfect movie couple, the perfect director to just like pick up your projects off the ground. It seems like you guys lift each other up every day. What a perfect match made in heaven it looks like, right? You guys
yeah,
we're like Rob Zombie and his wife, Moon Zombie.
There you go.
We love their films. We love stuff with husband and wives. Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall. We love all that stuff.
Well, to do something with your spouse, especially in movie making, it requires to be best friends. We are like best friends. So we are really, we can talk business, we can talk relationship, whatever. We just talk about, anything we want. So we are like best friends together. So I think that's what actually keeps us together, through all the whole project, because I have to work with Chuck, we have to work together. Right. And there's gonna be some, I have to compromise and he has to compromise, because sometimes we have different visions or whatever. I'm an editor, so I'm editing the whole thing. He's coming in, he has to supervise. So it's kind of
give and take.
We have to compromise, but you have to be still best friends to do that. It's not gonna be any other way.
Well, you guys look amazing together. I'm honored and appreciated that you guys wanted to come on the show and talk about The American Ripper. I personally can't wait to sit down and watch it this weekend. We told all the listeners where they can watch it. You guys can check it out on Vudu, Amazon Prime. If you guys can see the wall of library behind me, what is your thought on physical media? Do you one day, is The American Ripper going to be released one day on physical media?
Well, hopefully, yes. Hopefully it would be. However, we have other projects on the horizon, like I said. And if this one is not going to be released on a hard copy, then our next one, which is coming out next Easter, I'm sure it's going to be a hard copy, and it's probably going to be again Redbox or somewhere else, Walmart. We are aiming for Netflix as well, because we shot it on Netflix approved camera. So we're just trying to edit it with our editors right now to make it perfect. And then we have another 2 projects coming out, and hopefully as well next year or 2025. So yeah, maybe it will be, maybe it won't, but who knows? Amityville Mount Misery, we have hard copies. So if you guys want one, we can send it to you.
Anyone.
I'm definitely a physical media collector. I would not mind a hard copy of that. I'll definitely check it out.
Who knows what's going to happen, Juan, in the next few years? There may not be any more of those.
Right.
They're going to be like old albums,
Right. Do you guys worry about the movie business, just where we are at, just in the culture of film? Obviously the Marvels came out this week. It bombed. Technically, it was a bomb compared to other Marvel films. Is the theater? I'm sure one day, you guys would like to see one of your films on the big screen. Are you worried that we may get to a point where we may not have theaters? And like you said, Netflix is a big subscriber to letting independent filmmakers do their dream and do their vision. But what are your thoughts on that
So,
at this time?
so I can answer really quickly that question. We are talking about the USA. We are talking about America culture. So in America, yes, we have noticed that people do not go that often to the theaters anymore. And that may, progress to the point where the theater is gonna be closing, and only a few will sustain. We don't know, but believe it or not, in other countries, like I have an accent, as you can see. I'm from Poland
As you
myself.
can hear.
As you can hear, there you go. I'm from Poland, so originally, when we go to Europe to visit my parents,
packed. It's packed.
The theaters are packed, and it's still like, like you can't even get a ticket. So
It's like we watched Terrifier over there
it's packed.
in her town over there in Eastern Europe, and literally it was packed with young kids.
Young kids.
We went to go see Martin Scorsese's movie last week, and his new film. Loved it. Thought it was a great film. And with Leonardo,
it was 4 people.
It was 4 people in the film. But we do like going to watch films because we like to get popcorn, we like to get sodas, we like to lay back, we like to watch. And it's a traditional thing here in America, going to the movies. When I was growing up in Long Island, Tales of the Crypt or Mark of the Devil, from watching Jeremiah Johnson, way before even Star Wars was even around. It was always very crowded movie theaters, and we seem to see that the movie theaters are dwindling. It's sad because it's an American tradition to go to a theater, to get together, go with your family, eat some popcorn, watch the movies, get some hot dogs, and sodas, and it's sad, I hope it ever. I used to love the albums, have these big albums. We'd sit around and look at albums of the Jefferson Airplane or Jefferson Starship or the Doors or Jimi Hendrix and Eric Clapton, and those are, people don't even know what that stuff is today,
But there are movie theaters like, for example, Mexico or Latin America or South America or Europe, not even Poland, but as well Germany and Spain and all over Europe. They're still packed. So there's a hope for movie theaters still in future. Here in America, well, people are just, prefer to stay home, I guess. But still, still
hibernating.
Still there's a business,
we become very conditioned to the idea of, Killers of the Flower Moon is an Apple TV movie, so it'll be on there probably in January. If I just wait a couple months, it'll be on there. But me and Johnny went and saw it, and I was like, that's a movie worth seeing on the big screen. So, you're missing out on seeing something that could be incredible.
Yeah, like Napoleon, man. I'm gonna be right there watching that film.
It's just
a great role that he played in that. The Joker, another great. We saw it in the movie theater. All these great films. It's just not the same effect. Watching it.
To have a big studio in your own house, and you have a huge TV and a sound system, which is really cool. Then then I would understand that. Then you want to just.
We do have a good system, but it's just not the same as watching it in a theater.
Yeah.
Before we let you guys out of here, I do want to ask the one question. We're huge on lists. We love top 5s. Whether you guys want to name some together, what would you guys' top 5 favorite movies be?
My favorite top 5 movies.
Yeah.
Well, I like drama and I like horror, so I would probably there's more than the top 5, but I can give you a bunch of them. So I do like The Shining. I like that. I do like Hacksaw Ridge. I do, The Godfather's cool. The original Godfather. I do anything with De Niro, anything with any of those guys is great. Casino, all these movies. But the last 2, I saw The Exorcist when it first came out. I thought it was there was a fear throughout the whole world about, wow, this thing lives, wow, there's an exorcist, So I saw that back in the 70s, and that was one of my top 5, I would think. And as far as the last one, man, there's just so many of them going on. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Kurt Russell with The Thing. I like that
Oh,
film.
Yeah,
um,
that's a good one.
but I can keep going on. But I'll ask Carolina what she thinks her best.
I really don't know. I mean, I have so many actors and actresses that I love. I love Emily Blunt in her Girl on the Train. I like Hatful Rich. I believe it or not, I like war movies. I like Dunkirk. I just like this movie for their sound. So I can
Oh,
just
yeah.
listen to Dunkirk soundtrack for hours and don't even watch the movie. Let's just listen to the soundtrack. It's just amazing. So for me, the soundtrack plays a major role. Just to hear that music.
What else you got? You got one more film or two more films? Quick.
I'm not sure. I like. I'm not sure. I like psychological thrillers, something that there's a suspense.
You like the Joker?
I mean, I like the movies with Michael Douglas. I like The Game. I like Don't Breathe with Stephen Lang. But I can't really think about my favorite. This is just some scattered, thoughts.
No, those are some good films. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to again just say thank you guys for joining us. Again, you guys can find the American Ripper on. Go check out the page on IMDb, but you can watch it on Vudu, Amazon Prime, and look for it to pop up like on Tubi, like they said. Um, and Chuck and Carolina, I want to say thank you guys so much for joining us. And definitely with new projects coming on, feel free send us some messages, pop on by, and we will continue this good relationship. And hard copy, man, I can't wait to see your
Yeah,
28.
send us the address.
I mean, text me that. We'll sign it for you and send it off to you, man.
We'll do.
So
we'll put it right back here with the rest of them.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys, Zach, and Vaughn, to have us on your show. And it's you guys are spreading the love, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
and believing in independent filmmaking is where it's all about. Without you guys, people just don't get noticed as much.
Yeah, we really appreciate having us. It was fun, and it's always fun to chat, about movies, and hopefully to see you in future on another show.
We will, guys. Definitely. We'll see you down the road. We'll see you for some more projects hopefully soon, and have a great holiday.
Thank you so much.
Happy Thanksgiving, and
happy Thanksgiving.
We will we'll talk to you guys soon. Yeah, there we go. Friendsgiving.
And if you watch The American Ripper, make sure you lock your doors, close your windows, and make sure that you don't want you to sit by yourself.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
I hope you guys all enjoy it. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, guys.
You guys have a good night.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Zach,
there you go.
What a fun interview, The American Ripper. We're going to check it out this weekend, and we'll talk about it on Recent Watches next week. But speaking of Recent Watches, Zach, do you have anything you want to get off your chest?
Yeah, I just got through two things this week, and one, I checked out David Fincher's new movie on Netflix, The Killer, with Michael Fassbender. Very, very good film. Highly recommend it. I haven't seen Michael Fassbender do something that good in quite some time. If you like Seven, Zodiac, stuff to that nature, I think you'll really enjoy it. And then kind of preview something we're doing in December. I watched Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. I finished reading the book this past week, and I wanted to do an instant watch just to see, compare and contrast. And I was just going to watch an hour of it, just get into it. I watched the whole damn 3 hours and 26 minutes. So I'm really excited to have that conversation in December. What about you?
Recent watches were kind of slow for me this week. I've obviously back on the grind. I tried to watch Steven Spielberg's first movie, Duel. I've had people tell me it was a classic. I thought it was a classic bore fest, honestly. No, not big of a bore fest, but you can definitely tell it was different.
Yeah.
I'd probably give it a 6. I rewatched Blue Beetle. The Meg 2 was trash. I honestly did not like the Meg 2 at all.
Terrible.
And then I watched the season finale of Loki. I don't know if you're all caught
Oh
up.
yeah, and Loki.
Um,
I did watch
but
that.
but
What'd you think?
I did finish Loki. I think it's better than season one, and I think that it's probably. I know Tom Hiddleston came out and said that this is his finale and his send off for the character Loki, and that he
Hmm.
wants to retire the character, and at least he wants to retire himself from the character. So this is spoiler alert if you haven't seen Loki season two. This is Loki's send off, if you will, in the MCU.
Yep.
I thought it was phenomenal. I would give the entire season 9 stars. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. 9 stars for season 2 as well. And we kind of talked about it last week. I think they are really trying to just judging the way season 2 ended and where we leave that character of Loki. I think they are trying to write out Kang as being the major villain for the MCU, just judging by how the season ended and what they're implying. Yeah, I don't. Obviously, this probably sets a whole new precedent of where the MCU goes from here. But it was interesting, especially after our conversation from last week.
Going into the Marvels, did you check out the Marvels in theaters?
No, I was sick and we had death in the family, so I just didn't get to it. So, but I've heard, like I said, I've heard mixed things. It's sitting at like a 62% on Rotten Tomatoes. Some people absolutely despised it. Others said it was a real fun ride. So I'm hoping to catch it this weekend. So
If you guys want to know, or if you guys have anything you want to recommend recent watches for, send us off. Like I said, it was a small week for me watching movies. I would recommend honestly go finish Low Key, go start season two. If you haven't seen it, go watch season one and two. I did watch 2 episodes of the Santa Clauses. Um, it's entertaining, but it's obviously a little too old. I mean, it's not nostalgia anymore. Um, but honestly,
yeah,
go check out. And then the movie we're talking about today is on Paramount Plus, or you can go out and get the big old hard copy. Um, but that's what we're talking about today. We are mentioning and discussing Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One, starring Tom Cruise, Haley Atwell, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, Vanessa Kirby, Isai Morales, um, Henry Cersei, Shay Winming, and directed by Christopher uh,
Macquarie.
McQuarrie. Um, right now, this has a 7.8 on IMDb, 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. The Metascore is 81%, and the Google users like it at 78%. With a theatrical release of July 12th of this year, 2023, the budget was almost $300 million. But this is where we kind of turn our heads. The box office was only at $567 million. Ethan Hunt and his IMF team must track down a dangerous weapon before it falls into the wrong hands. Zach, you got to see this in the theaters, I believe. What was it like for your first viewing? And honestly, what was it like for the rewatch for this episode?
So going into this film, I shouldn't say I didn't have high expectations just because Fallout was such an amazing film. I think it's one of the 10 best action films we've had in the last decade, to be honest. So I knew this one wasn't going to reach the heights of Fallout, but going into it, just giving it a chance, I really enjoyed it. Um, I think there's some things in it that will probably get more answers or make more sense once we get to part 2 in 2025. But overall, I enjoyed it, and I had the same feeling this time around like I did in the theater. What about you?
I watched it twice, checked it out Sunday morning, and then I tried to skim through it and rewatch it again for this episode today. So I've seen it twice in like 3 days. Um, but we're gonna get to it. If I had to say one word after the movie was over, honestly, disappointed.
Mm.
And we'll talk about it. Like you said, Fallout was a fantastic film, and then Tom Cruise comes back and whips it out and does Top Gun Maverick, and you get the awesome IMAX trailer 1 year before about Mission Impossible. So the buildup was completely out of this world.
Hmm.
Um, and maybe it's because I didn't see it on the big screen, but you know what? I also didn't see Fallout on the big screen, and I thought it was a phenomenal film. Uh,
Yeah.
and nobody's saying this one's not phenomenal, but with all the hype and how much distraction there was around another Mission Impossible movie, I was a little disappointed. But we'll get to it. Um, let's take a quick look at the uh, submarine open. Would you think of the open? And you get a full 30 minutes before you get the opening credits. So
Yeah.
what'd you think
I
of that
mean,
first 30 minutes?
so in my personal opinion, I think the submarine opening sequence kind of hinders the movie a little bit because it took me like 5 minutes to really figure out what was going on. Um, and obviously, obviously, but the whole entity AI thing is definitely a real life threat in our world today. So I'm glad they took something that is real and put it into a Mission Impossible movie. But some of the things that they came up with this just doesn't, like I said, it could make sense in part two once we get to there, but just on the basis of this film by itself, it didn't really add up to me in my opinion.
Same. Uh, and again, I was hoping you don't need part two for part one to make any kind of sense because we have to wait 2 years
Yeah.
before we even get the final part two. And is part two the end of the entire thing? We just don't know. But if you're looking back at it from a perspective, I think Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part One is just over. I think it's too complicated. I think they're trying to make it too complicated of a film. At some points in the movie, I feel like I'm watching a James Bond movie. At some
Hmm.
points, I think the whole storyline of the what's his crew called, the IMF.
IMF.
I think the whole IMF storyline is outplayed. I don't think you got enough Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames scenes. I love those two together. All three of those guys are just they can be so much fun together. I don't think you got enough of them at all.
Hmm.
Um, the action scenes are breathtaking. Don't get me wrong, but what's missing is the hard pounding fight scenes that they introduced in the last two films.
And that to me, I think is what hurts this film the most is that when I watch Fallout, I'm just adrenalized like through the entire movie. In this film, I have moments of that. It didn't have the same kinetic energy that the last one did, and I don't know if it was just they didn't have a good idea for this one, or it just didn't really, it's not cohesive enough. Um, but I will say, you know, I was worried, but I was kind of worried that this one wasn't going to be good, just wasn't going to be good at all. But when we got to Haley Atwell's character Grace, I think she brought the energy that the film was needing. Honestly.
Uh, let's talk about some of the new characters in this movie. You get introduced to uh, really who is the new character? Vanessa Kirby, right? The White Widow.
No, she was in the last one.
She was in the last one. Oh,
Great,
Gabriel.
Grace, Gabriel, and Grace are the two new characters.
You do get spoiler alert. Go check this movie out on Paramount Plus, and go buy the physical copy. Uh, Issa dies in this one.
Oh, Ilsa, yeah, and
Rebecca Ferguson.
I felt like that was going to happen, especially since they introduced Grace as a kind of like a new. I don't want to call her a love interest, but definitely a character that's definitely is on the same level as Ethan. Um, which I think is a really, that whole sequence of where he's just running all throughout the streets of Rome and Grace and Ilsa fight Gabriel on that bridge. I thought that was a well done shot.
You know what also kind of just is frustrating, man, is I don't think this movie, for it being 2 hours and 45 minutes, I don't think this movie delivers enough punch. There's some scenes where I'm just looking at my phone. I'm kind of like, does this really need to happen? And then it kind of just abruptly has a quiet, soft ending. Again, I think they shouldn't have named it Part One.
You think it should have been like Dead Reckoning, and then not the last one has like some kind of like the last mission or something?
Yeah, something like that. I think this one is just a little. It's man, it got me, man. I don't. Other than a few scenes that I wrote down, I don't see this one being as memorable. To me, it feels like maybe the first three or the first two. There's like no really big memorable scenes in this movie, and I feel like it's just I don't know. It's this one was lackluster for me.
Well, and like for me, I think one thing, the promotional advertisement for this film, they played up the motorcycle, the jump off the cliff way too much. And so by the time we get to that, it's not a surprise. It doesn't hold the adrenaline like the bathroom fight sequence or the skydiving sequence in Fallout. And to me, to be completely honest with you, I thought the best action film, the best action scene of the film was when Ethan and Grace were jumping train cars as it was going off the cliff. I thought that one had way more stakes and way more adrenaline than the motorcycle jump. And even the Rome Fiat car chase where they're handcuffed together, I thought was actually a really well done sequence that was almost on the same level as Fallout. So
Yeah, by all means, the stunts are amazing. The action sequences that Tom Cruise is in, by all means, they equaled Fallout. Were they better than Fallout action sequence wise? I don't think so, but they definitely equaled, and they were definitely a lot of fun.
yeah.
Um,
What do you think about the idea of the choice being like I feel like it's kind of like an Avenger thing where like you make the choice and you're part of the crew. Did you like that kind of aspect of it?
no, because that made me feel like I was watching fucking Fast and the Furious. Um, I thought, you know, I thought it was too complex. I don't
Hmm.
think a Mission Impossible movie needs to be
A
that.
Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be Tenet, or it doesn't need to, touch bases on right or wrong like that. I have that in my notes with the whole bomb scene. My God, that bomb scene was annoying to me just because, okay, are you gonna blow up or not? The bomb wants you to fucking solve the riddle, or else it's voice recognition. Now it wants an
Yeah.
answer from you. The whole entity sequences for me were just, and I know that's the day and age we're living in. I know there's so much smart tech out there, but I wasn't ready for all this smart tech to be in my movies. I wasn't ready for it to be in a Mission Impossible movie. But
Right.
I know they're trying to update with the times. Whether that stuff can actually happen or not, it was just a little dumbfounded to me about, okay, Simon Pegg's character is getting counted down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But what did you think about that bomb scene?
I mean, I enjoyed the bomb scene. I don't know. I feel like I'm the one defending this movie today. I felt like the whole notion of the entity able to take what you know and love and use it against you. I like that aspect of it. I just think it wasn't fully fleshed out in this film because the whole entire time, I truly thought Gabriel was like an AI, like he was some kind of like Terminator or something.
Which he still
Because
might be,
like,
right?
well, I mean, well, the fact that they tied into the original film that he was there the entire time, I'm just like, yeah, but how many people have gone back and watched the original Mission Impossible? Not very
I think
many.
I think at that point in time, you're just trying to get people to maybe go back and either buy it or sign up for Paramount Plus. Even though, let's look at it this way: is this movie, like we talked about, Chuck, with the American Ripper and the pandemic? Was this movie doomed from the beginning because it filmed in 2020?
It's possible. There are clearly scenes when you watch this. There's no one on the streets. Like you can tell this was a COVID era film. Um, and shit, man, let's just talk about the box office. I mean, this movie, like this said, cost almost $300 million. It didn't. It barely made half of what the last film made. The
Oh yeah.
last film almost made $1 billion, and you know we could we could sit here and argue and debate. Was this is it should have they moved this film a week? This movie came out a week before the Barbenheimer thing. Barbie and Oppenheimer. Is that to blame for this? Are people just burnt out of Tom Cruise, or is it or like you said, he had Fallout and Maverick back to back. Was this doomed to fail because of those two films?
Man, I don't even know. That's the question looming over this movie. I don't think people are done with Tom Cruise because Top Gun was such a huge film. But again, it was Top Gun 2. It wasn't any, it wasn't,
It wasn't,
you know,
yeah.
it was Top Gun 2. Um,
And another film we're talking about in December, Sound of Freedom, it beat it at the box office. And that's a very independent Christian film.
did they come out the same week?
Sound of Freedom came out, I think,
The week
2 weeks
before?
before, a week or two before, yeah.
So yeah, that's a movie we're talking about soon. But I don't know. I don't think it was doomed from the start. And I don't think it has. Maybe it did have something to do with the lineup because, like you said, Barbie and Oppenheimer just completely, you know, destroyed it. But I see I've read a lot of reviews, and the reviews are for the film are phenomenal. 7.8, 96%, 81%, 78%. So people love this movie. They just didn't love it enough to go see it at the box office.
I mean,
But
we went and
but
saw it.
but you're also talking about, I mean, I don't know. We're talking about a day and age where $567 million is not a
It's
lot
a
of money anymore
disappointment.
for a movie, but that's
Yeah.
almost $1 billion. That's half. You're halfway there.
I don't know, man.
What do you
It's
think?
one of those.
So, well, go ahead. I was just gonna name
I was
another
just gonna
scene.
say, no, I was just gonna say, we saw it in the IMAX that opening weekend, and it was packed. So I'm surprised that this didn't make more than $500 million. So what? And yeah, but what were you gonna say?
Um, so the end of hour number one, you get uh you get the shootout scene where him and like you said, they're getting ready to get in that car and they have the phenomenal
Hmm.
driving sequences.
Yeah.
Uh, do you think also some of these movies are just now starting to be put together because um, I don't know. I wasn't a fan of the whole entity thing. I wasn't a fan of Gabriel. Um, and at some points um, you felt like Tom Cruise was almost being put as the villain in this movie. Like at the end of the day, I'm going to ask you this: who is the true villain of Dead Reckoning Part One? Is it Gabriel? Is it the
I
entity itself? Is he part of the entity? Is it Kittredge? Is he part of something that we probably should be discussing?
I truly think that the villain of the movie is the technology that we have created to make ourselves better, but it's truly going to destroy us. So I guess it is the entity. Um, and again, it always goes back to like it's always a bidding war between the villains of who gets control of this, or it's the the MacGuffin of the movie is what's gonna everyone's after it, but does it really matter by the time you get to the end of the film? So
And then what did you think of the whole key thing? two keys to rule them all. You twist them together, and we still
Makes like
really
a
didn't.
makes
Did
like
we
a
really
cross
find
key
out
or
what that key
whatever.
goes to yet, or are they saving that for
No.
part two?
Yeah, but they keep and that was the irritating thing about this movie is that
The MacGuffin is the key, right? Or is it the
the
ending?
MacGuffin is the key because like the MacGuffin is what does it open? They say that the secretary Carrie Elways knows. They kill him off, and then now they know that they say that Gabriel knows, but he jumps off the train and is survives somehow. Um, and so at the end of the day, it's like, is it nuclear codes? Is it the ability to have full control over anyone's fate? Because they keep saying fate is like, oh, I know how your story is going to be. Vanessa Kirby, you make the choice. I know how your story is going to end. Like, is that the moral? Is that we've created a technology that knows how we live, breathe, and die, essentially? So, and that's the irritating thing about a part one is that now you have to wait 2 years to get like a conclusion and actual concrete answers about what all this means.
And then at that point, what if that movie's 3 hours? Now you have a almost 6 hour Mission Impossible Part One and Part Two, and you're just like, holy Christ, But
We'll
I
be
don't know.
there, we will. So
And then
we will be there.
you get to the whole train sequence, the train scenes at the end, which is I thought was going to be a pretty phenomenal scene, but then it dragged out to where you just again you don't get a payoff for the ending, and it's because it's a part one.
Yeah. And then the final scene is going back to the submarine. It's just like, I know Ethan is going to have to swim all the way down there and he's probably going to drown, and that's how the series is going to end. So I don't know, man. Like I said, I enjoyed this film. I don't think it's on the same level as Fallout, but I still had fun with it by the time I got to the end of it. There are things that they could be done different. But
Don't
like I
don't
said,
don't get me confused. Was the initial watch in the movie theater? How big of a difference was your attention span on watching the movie at home?
well, if I'm watching a movie for this show, I just keep my phone in the other room, so I have full attention while watching it.
So like if you just this is probably just a yes or no. Does your grade go down? Like if you were to grade this movie right after the movie theater watch, does it go down today right after watching it at home? After the second initial watch?
No, because it ended up. I still had the same feelings. It really ended up on the same grade scale as I was going to give it the first time around. So, do you think you would have liked it a lot more if you had seen it in the theater?
Probably. And it's not saying that it's not a good action film. I just think the girth is what got to me watching it at home this time.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but I mean, every part that Tom Cruise was in, I loved it, man. I thought he did phenomenal. I thought the scenes were phenomenal. You can tell some of his action scenes maybe weren't really on a train. Maybe he did some jumpings off of, like a fake train with CGI background, maybe.
Yeah.
But I definitely still enjoy and appreciate everything he's trying to help put on screen. And I think single-handedly Tom Cruise is trying to save the theater. I really do.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So I would like to say I can't wait to see what he does next. I don't know if he has anything coming out in between part one and part two. It may just be part two coming up next in 2025.
Yeah, part two is next. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the fact that while his film didn't do good compared to what his other films have done in the last couple of years, he went out during the press tour and promoted to do the Barbie Oppenheimer double feature. So you can definitely tell that he cares about the theater and that experience. I'd be more worried about making sure my movie did good, but that shows confidence in how much he cares about the theater is that he's out there promoting other directors and other actors' work. So
I think he knew his movie was gonna have its 1 week of success, but after
Yeah,
that 1 week, he knew it would probably be number 3 at the best.
yeah, that's true.
So
Because
why not go promote the other two movies? But while you're doing that, you're like, oh hey, that's Tom Cruise from the new Mission Impossible movie. Let's go see that too.
yeah, yeah, because I mean, I'm sure people that were
He- He's
when
not
Barbie
he's
and
not he's not dumb. Let's put it that way.
no, if Barbie, I mean, I'm sure if we were in that spot, if Barbie and Oppenheimer were sold out, hey, what's the next best thing? Let's go see Mission Impossible. Not, I'm sure a lot of people thought that and did that. So
And I'm pretty sure if Barbie came out Thanksgiving or like later, I'm sure Mission Impossible would probably be number 1 or 2 throughout the summer with Oppenheimer.
yeah, I probably agree with that.
Um, but no, we talked Tom Cruise. I thought it was a fun movie. If Tom Cruise was not in the movie and if his crew wasn't in it, man, I don't know how this probably would have ended up. But we
Do
didn't
you,
get to touch
do you-
on him a lot. What do you think about Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames? Do you think do you think one of them? I thought Simon Pegg was going to die off in this movie. Let's talk about just the quick die offs. Do you think anybody's going to die off because it is supposedly the last one in 2025, or do you think
I
no?
think
You think they'll get to ride off in the sunset?
I think they'll get to right off in the sunset because I think if you're going to do that, you needed to do it in this one. You kill off Benji, kill off Luther. Um, I'm curious of whether or not they'll bring Jeremy Ritter back for this last one. Because I think he's a good fit in these films as well. I think his last one was Rogue Nation, and that was 2015. So yeah, it'd be cool to see him come back. We didn't really talk about Haley Atwell that much, but I thought she was phenomenal in this. I think, like I said, I think she brought the life to the film, and she definitely had a lot of chemistry with Tom Cruise. What do you think about her character or her performance?
That's. I thought she had a great performance. I adored the character. Uh, Actress is phenomenal. But if I had to go back, it's just some small. I didn't enjoy the little magic magic stuff, disappearing
Oh
of the
yeah,
key.
yeah,
I don't know why some of that stuff was written in there, but it just seemed a little campy for me. A little,
mm,
you know, little
cringy.
campy. Yeah, but
So
it definitely provided a different taste of Fallout, and I think that's what they were going for. Um, it's just it just wasn't as uh amazing
you
as I
wish
thought it was going to be.
you wish you had another Fallout.
This is
And we
Halloween.
might.
This is Halloween Kills and a Halloween Ends trilogy for me. It
No,
you know this is a good film. It's fun. It's exciting. But
it could be
let's
better.
see. Yeah, let's see where part two goes before we probably grade the entire two-parter.
Yeah. So, do you have any favorite scenes?
I do. My favorite scenes are gonna be the bomb scene, or not the bomb scene, leading up to the bomb. That first
Oh, the
30,
airport.
yeah, the
Yeah.
airport scene. The first 30 minutes of him talking to Kittredge when he takes off the mask, and then he's like, "How are you gonna get out of here?" And then he puts that mask back on. That was fun. It felt old school Mission Impossible. Um, and let's not forget these movies, all seven of them, are utterly fantastic compared to. I'm gonna get flack for this, but the original like TV series. Let's not forget
Oh
that.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So I enjoyed the train sequence was real fun. Him jumping out with the parachute, which I believe was 100% Tom Cruise,
Yep.
100% real flying camera of watching Tom Cruise fly. That was phenomenal. And then I like the bridge scene where his little girlfriend finally dies, and you kind of get a touching moment with Tom Cruise right there. I wish we got more Vanessa Kirby though.
Yeah, I hope she comes back for the part two as well because she's awesome in these films. Her character is the White Widow. You don't know if I think that's like the thrill of that character is you don't know what she's thinking. Is she gonna kill you? Is she gonna let you live to see another day? I think she's phenomenal as that character. I'd say the train cars where they're jumping from train car to train car, I thought was phenomenal. And the Fiat car chase. Well, I don't think I still had the same thrill, but I don't think it was just on the same level as that motorcycle chase in Fallout, where he's just going through the city. Yeah. And I'd say Grace's entrance. I thought, while you didn't like the magic switcheroo of like the keys and the lighter, I thought it was it's comedic relief for kind of a serious situation. So
Yeah. I would also say, like, if anybody's out there, if you haven't seen this movie yet, go watch it for yourself. Go check it out on Paramount Plus. Go buy it on physical media. It's by all means, it's not the worst Mission Impossible. It's really a lot of fun. I think this past week I've just had an issue with like just the girth of this movie.
yeah,
So, and if honestly, if you're not entwined into this movie, it is a little bit more complex than the others. So if you're not inclined into this movie, it's very easy to kind of just drift off with how long it
yeah,
is. So,
yeah, I agree.
all that being said, star rating wise, I'm gonna give this movie a 7. It's not the best mission for me, but it's not the worst. Tom Cruise's girth scares me a little bit in this movie, so I'm definitely giving this a 7. It's a fun watch. Like I said, you just got to be intertwined because they do try to make this mission a little bit more complex.
Yeah.
So that being said, I don't know how the rewatchability is going to be. So for now, it's a 7. Zach, what about you?
I'll go one step further. I'll give it an 8. I still had this thrills. I wish there was more thrills that I like when you walked out of Fallout. Great performances. Haley Atwell was an awesome addition to this. Obviously the good stunts. That's why you see these in the movies. Like you said, it's a good mission. It's not the worst. It's not the best. It's kind of in that. I'd probably put it in the top. There's 7 of them. I'd probably put it in the top 4 at least. And like I said, until we see part 2, this one might make a lot more sense once it's all the bridge is connected. So we'll just have to see.
That being said, guys, if you have not checked out last week's episode, or if you want to hit us up on the social medias, go do it. Facebook.com/The Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The Instagram recent watches are all one word, The Cine-Men Movie Podcast. X, formerly known as Twitter, is at Cine-Men405. The email bag returns next week with a Thanksgiving Day email bag. CINEMEN921 at gmail.com. Before we get out of here, Zach, I saw recent news right before we came on the air, and I wish Craig was here so we could discuss it with him. Marvel's moving on from the Kang Dynasty. They are completely
true.
Yeah, they are completely rewriting for the next few phases, and they are moving on from the Kang Dynasty. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, like I said, with the implications of Loki season 2, that does not surprise me. It really doesn't. So
pretty much, Kang is no more at the end of Loki 2.
Yep. That's exactly what they're going for.
Technically, that's what he did, right? He sacrificed himself to destroy and move on from Kang.
Yep, essentially.
So Ant-Man is garbage, technically. Quantumania, you don't need it in the series at all.
Really? No, it doesn't. And that's like the irritating thing is just like, we could put blame all we want, but I mean, at the end of the day, Marvel's. I think at this point, Marvel's just gonna have to take like a 5-year timeout and just kind of regroup, reassess, rewrites, and just kind of go from there. So
now it's time to reintroduce Doctor Doom. Maybe, who knows?
Yep.
But as far as next week, guys, next week, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, we talk about the #1 highest grossing movie of the year, I believe. Still, we talk about Barbie,
and arguably maybe one of the best movies of the year. We'll have to discuss.
Arguably, maybe we'll talk about it next week. Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, Barbie is our next subject matter. What better way to spend Thanksgiving than to watch Barbie and talk about it and listen to us debate yell, scream, fight, scratch, claw about Barbie next week right here on the Cinema Movie Podcast. Zach, we put Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning to sleep. We had a fun conversation with two great directors and actors today. Are you excited to talk Barbie next week? What are your thoughts?
It's funny. Like, I always try to stay ahead. I am not. I'm so scared to do this rewatch of Barbie. I'm just afraid it's gonna suck, just because the theater experience was awesome. We'll just have to see. I mean, there's a lot of people out there saying that Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling are gonna get Oscar nominations for this. So we'll just have to find out. But yeah, I'll probably watch it tonight. That way, it's just out of my brain. So
4 months later, we have our own Barbenheimer. Next week, Barbie on the podcast. The week after, the last Thursday of November, we talk Oppenheimer. So 2 fantastic movies. At least they were when we watched them in the theater. 2 back-to-back watches, 2 back-to-back episodes. Next week, we started off with Barbie. Next Wednesday before Thanksgiving, we are also having a top 5. I'm not going to announce it just yet, but we will have a top 5 next week, right before we review Barbie. Other than that, Zach, any final nails in the coffin for Dead Reckoning Part 1 before we get out of here?
no, go check it out. Form your own opinion. Barbie next week. We'll see you then.
All right, guys, have a good week, and we will talk to you next week for Barbie right here on the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. We accepted this mission this week.